All over our cities, along our coastlines and across our green and pleasant land, an invisible army is fighting a never-ending war. Their enemy is the filth that we create and the vermin that thrive on it. Welcome to the hidden world of the Grime Fighters. On Grime Fighters tonight, Dagenham sewer team Bill and Simon fall out.
Well, don't you just stand there giving out your orders, fatty.
Police diver Mark finds a car parked in the Thames. The fastest house clearer in Leicester, Suicide Sid, does his worst.
Basically, just push everything.
And Wolverhampton Enforcement Officer John is taking no prisoners in his quest for a dumped skip.
Did you tip that skip up and leave it there?
We start in Leicester. Council property manager Steve is beginning his regular shift. His department is responsible for the upkeep of the 21,000 council homes in the city. Properties have to be returned to the rental market as soon as possible after a resident has either died, moved on or been evicted. Steve routinely sees over 20 properties a week. This terrace house is top of today's agenda.
We've just come to this property, we've been handed the keys in. We're not sure what we're going to find inside. I think the previous tenant passed away, so I'm not sure whether it's been cleared out or anything yet, but we'll have a look inside.
When there's been a death in a property, Steve is always rather apprehensive.
Every time you come into a property, really, you know that somebody's passed away, or you hear that somebody's passed away. It's kind of worrying because you don't know what you're going to find. Steve
has learnt over the years not to delve too deeply, unless it's absolutely necessary.
Don't open fridges. I did it once when I first started, and it's the last time I'll ever do it.
He may be able to avoid the fridge, but he can't help noticing the state of the carpet.
I'm not really sure what this is down here, but your feet kind of stick to it, so it's some kind of bodily fluids. Hopefully it's all just in the carpet, it's not seeped through into the floor below.
This may be where the old woman died, but as Steve ventures upstairs, the carpets continue to reveal a grisly tale.
There's a bit more of a stain on the carpet here, coming from the bathroom. It's obviously human faeces by the looks of it. It's quite sad really to think that the person's been, by the looks of it, left here on their own, struggling to get by. Obviously needed some help. Whether she was getting that help or not, we can't really say, but from the looks of the carpet here and downstairs, probably wasn't getting as much help as they needed. It's not going to be very nice for lads to clear that up.
Steve hopes that the state of the carpets are the only disturbing discovery as he continues his assessment. It's not only Britain's towns and cities that require the constant attention of our clean-up teams. For the Environment Agency, keeping our river systems and waterways clear of all manner of rubbish, however large, can pose a serious problem. Today, Al from the Environment Agency, supported by Constable Mark Rodham and his police underwater unit, are mounting a joint operation on the River Thames, near Pangbourne. They're attempting to retrieve a stolen BMW car that, thanks to joyriders, has ended up in the middle of the river.
Some of the guys were dealing with an accident or some stolen vehicle in the lay-by just next to us here. They just happened to be looking out of the water when they dealt with that, and they saw something didn't look right. It was sort of ripples in the water, and they thought there's something underneath there. So what we did, a few weeks after that, we decided to go and investigate, and we just dived on here and we found the car. So, you know, it was a bit of luck really.
With a bright summer day attracting traffic on the river, Al's main concern is to ensure the safety of the operation.
People aren't aware of what a very clear instruction such as stop means.
Now the coast is clear, armed with a tug, a barge-mounted crane and a team of divers, Mark can mobilise his forces.
We'll get these tugs in position, we'll drop the buoy in, and the divers will then connect the shackles through the vehicle, then hopefully they'll be able to lift it with this the crane on the end here.
The crane is in position so the divers can safely venture into the river and attach the car. But this is going to be the start of a somewhat tricky day. In Leicester, Steve is continuing his tour of the old lady's property. Apart from the carpets, there doesn't seem to be any more unpleasant surprises. But as he looks at the woman's clothes and personal effects, Steve shows his sympathy.
It's just somebody's life all in black bags, basically, and unfortunately we've got to send it all to the tip. We haven't got time to be looking for anything of sentimental value for anyone.
The main problem for Steve is he can't evaluate exactly what needs to be refurbished or replaced until all the furniture, carpets and rubbish is cleared from the property. But Steve has the ultimate weapon to deal with the problem: Suicide Sid and his crushing crew. He has his own very special style for clearing a house fast, and you could risk certain death if you're standing at the bottom of the stairs. With this approach, Suicide and his A-team can clear a fully furnished house in about 30 minutes, but woe betide anyone who gets in their way.
All right, Sid, do you want to come round then? All right, see you in a minute.
Steve has a few minutes of calm before the storm that is Suicide Sid. In East London, Dagenham sewage team Simon and Bill are starting the day dealing with a blocked drain which has flooded a car park.
You'd be surprised what you find in the drain, as you'll see in a minute.
The gully motor starts to draw off the standing water so the boys can clear whatever's blocking the drain. The job seems pretty stress-free. If only the same could be said for their working relationship.
Here he goes again, he's on the phone.
Hello?
Bill is not at all happy with the frequency of what appears to be Simon's urgent work calls. They seem to come only when the job is demanding, but Simon will have none of that.
Which one would you like?
Yeah, and what?
Because I'm the lazy, so they have to answer these three.
Well, could I have the personal one?
With the water drawn off, Bill, or even Simon, can start the dirty work of emptying the drain of its contents.
Well, don't you just stand there giving out your orders, fatty. Have a bash.
I'm doing. I'm the brains of the outfit.
Before long, the drain reveals its secrets. Loads of metal piping that have been blocking the flow. Now, all that's left to do is to flush the system.
Right, we're now going to check the run to see if we can get it to run. If not, it's going to need further investigation.
And that's a big work for you. Investigation.
In a minute, I'm going to swing this thing and it's going
That's
to
a
hit him
big
straight
work
in
for
the
the
head.
college boy.
Bill enjoys ribbing Simon. He still finds himself at the sharp end, but that could be a blessing.
As you can see, my new hat and my visor, it's got earmuffs on. You know why? So I can't hear him talking.
I'll just be here if you want me, all
Yeah,
right?
you stay there.
Yeah, I'll just be here.
Don't get involved
I'll
in
just be
something
here.
you can't
I'll
handle.
just be here. I won't do anything. Go on.
Yeah, you stay there because you're useless. We're going to blast it now, see if it runs. And hopefully, it should run.
After a few seconds of blasting, it seems they've freed the blockage.
And as you can see, it's done. It's running away now, so it's a job done well.
Elated, but feeling slightly guilty about his behaviour, Bill tries for a bit of reconciliation.
Kiss, kiss. As you would say no yesterday.
Perhaps it could be better to leave it till later. On the Thames, the police divers have successfully secured the sunken BMW to the crane. But as the car breaks the surface, Mark can't afford to relax.
If the car's been in the water for some considerable time, it gets filled up with silt and it makes it very, very heavy. So this has only got a limit, I think it's 1 ton weight on this. It's on its limits, particularly if it's a BMW, it's quite a big car as well.
Slowly but surely, the car is gently towed as close to the bank as possible. Now safely away from the main current, Al can take over the operation and deal with the challenge of getting the car onto dry land.
Got the recovery truck here. Yeah. Okay, they're going to get a wire on it, start pulling it out, and then try and flip it over onto the wheels. The main concern at the moment is that if there's any oil still in there that's going to start coming out, we need to have mats and booms or whatever we've got on board handy.
As the line from the recovery truck is attached and the winching begins, the good news is that so far there are no obvious signs of oil seeping from the vehicle and polluting the river. The bad news, however, is that this recovery truck can't handle the weight of the BMW.
Yeah, this isn't working. We need to pull in something a lot bigger.
There's nothing for it but for Al to wait for the bigger recovery truck to arrive. However, with the delay, there's more of a risk of the car's oil leaking into the water. Coming up, the BMW makes a last bid for freedom. Suicide Sid does what he does best. Bill and Simon stir up some trouble, and Enforcement Officer John is on the trail of a skip that skipped. Throughout the country, an army of professionals are continuing to dedicate their daily lives to waging war on the nation's grime. In Leicester, at property manager Steve's request, Suicide Sid and his A-team are on another adventure.
And they'll have it cleared out in half hour, 45 minutes, sometimes a bit longer. There's no messing with them. They've only been in there 30 seconds and the first wheelie bin's full already.
This crack team has a vital reason for working so fast.
If we don't get it done, we don't get paid.
Sid can't afford to be squeamish about the state of the carpet. Where there's muck, there's brass.
You didn't take no notice, really. I mean, looking at it, it just looks like dust to me. There's things you get used to it every day, you know what I mean? You see this every day.
And when it comes to mirrors, there's no room for superstition.
Sometimes with at least four or five a day, and we always break them. I don't get much luck with anything.
It's a sad reality, but there's no time to save anything at all.
Because, I mean, we do most probably 15, 20 properties a week, and it's where we could just pull all that stuff. Basically, we just crush everything.
After 30 minutes of hard graft, the house is cleared, and with the dust settling, there's time to have a cup of tea. And a chance for Dave to explain Sid's nickname.
We call him Suicide Sid. We don't work in the same room as he works. Trouble is, he shouts, watch out, but it's down already. So you've just really got to watch him, because if he ain't trying to kill you, he'll be killing himself.
As the boys finish their well-earned break, Steve can start assessing the house. On the River Thames near Pangbourne, the sunken BMW is now resting in the shallows after being lifted from the bottom of the river. Al from the Environment Agency has had to call up a larger recovery truck to haul the car the last few yards onto the bank. While he waits, another unwanted complication has arisen.
Got quite a major leak of engine oil that's coming out into the river now, which is definitely what I didn't want to happen. So we're just putting down these special absorbent mats. They soak up the oil and they stop it dissipating and spreading further on.
Fortunately for Al, within minutes the new recovery truck arrives. He wants to get the car out of the river as quickly as possible to avoid further pollution. With the car attached to the stronger winch, it looks promising. But nothing can be taken for granted. With the car now safely secured on the bank, the police divers prise the boot open and check the contents. There's nothing untoward inside, and the oil slick in the river has been contained. Al reckons it's all gone rather well.
It's been a very successful day. Very happy with the outcome. Job's good.
The car has been in the river so long, there's no chance of finding any clues to the identity of the joyriders. So the car will now be taken off to be crushed. It's been another successful day in the Environment Agency's never-ending battle to keep our rivers car-free. In Dagenham, sewage clearance team Simon and Bill have moved on to their next job, but unfortunately, their banter hasn't improved.
Should we knock on the lady's door first? Oh.
They've now swapped the gully motor for their regular sewer van and are back dealing with a more routine task, a blocked domestic drain. On lifting the cover, Simon feels a pang of jealousy.
Some bloke's lucky, isn't he?
Yeah.
There's about 4 condoms in there.
Is it?
Will you stop playing with it?
But for once, Bill is taking the high ground.
Right, what we're going to do now, we're going to check the depth to see which way it's running. The drains go down, you've got the start of the run, which is like that, that's the drain. Then as it goes down, it gets like that. And it opens up further and further. But because she's the beginning of the run, and she's the shallow one, she will get most problems, because if all that splots, it all backs up and it'll come out over her garden.
His sensible, technical approach is wasted on Simon.
London Zoo.
Yeah,
I can have you in there. You'll be part of a breeding programme.
Ascertaining where the sewer run is blocked in the row of houses, as always, is proving difficult.
You've got to think on your feet, because 90% of the people are at work when we're meant to be doing sewers. And It's ridiculous. We keep knocking on these people's houses, but we know they're not going to be in because they're all at work.
Simon investigates further. He suddenly admits why he's been on the phone a lot and why he's feeling stressed.
I'm getting married in 3 weeks, and it's costing me a small fortune. She'll appreciate it, marrying such a person like me.
This could also be a happy moment for Bill, but unfortunately, the wedding is to be in Cuba.
Of course he's invited to the wedding, but he hasn't got a passport. Because really, we don't know what breed he is yet.
Bill's frustration over his passport problem is something that he doesn't really want to talk about. Back to the job in hand, the boys have 2 options to clear the run.
So what you want to do, rod it?
Can do, or just stick the jet up there.
We'll rod it. Safer. Yeah.
With most of the residents out at work, using the power jetter could be extremely dangerous. It might blast a torrent of sewage through the house. The only option is to use the old-fashioned method of rodding with a plunger. Bill is lit up.
Here we go, babe. I'm just a man, baby.
Do you know how much medication he's on? Do you want to snap them off?
Yeah.
Do you want to snap them off now?
Well, no, I was going to wait and come back tomorrow.
Bill has had to come to terms with the idea that he'll be stuck in England while Simon ties the knot in sunny Cuba. But he's cleared the blockage, and that seems enough to keep him happy for now.
Daddy done it.
And he makes one last attempt to make up. On city streets, environmental enforcement officers like ex-cop John in Wolverhampton work tirelessly to combat the scourge of fly tips and illegally dumped waste. This afternoon, he's been given a tip-off that the contents of a skip has been emptied on a nearby industrial estate.
There's a skip containing that waste in the corner. The skip lorry picked the waste up and just tipped it and drove off, leaving all the waste on the ground.
John reckons one of the companies on the estate has gone bust and not paid for the skip, so the skip owners have cut their losses. For John, that's unacceptable behaviour.
They have deposited it unlawfully. That is fly tipping. Well,
John is determined to find out the whereabouts of the skip company. Fortunately, it doesn't take him long to find someone on the estate who saw exactly what happened.
Did you see the skip being dumped?
Yeah.
Did you?
There were 2 blokes.
Was there?
Yeah.
And what's the name of the skip company?
MT Skips.
MT. Hang on, I'll go and get my pad out of the car.
Yeah.
If John can prove that this skip company really did commit an offence, there's a possibility of a fine of up to £50,000. So, armed with a company name, a witness, and the chance of a conviction, John can now pay MT Skips a surprise visit.
Have you seen the way they spell it? MT Skips, you fill 'em, we empty 'em. Which is MT Skips?
They're here at the minute.
Whereabouts is the unit?
They really got a unit.
Are they? Where they run the skip business from?
On this estate here.
Where is their unit then, please?
There's no unit.
There's no unit, any yard?
Yeah, the yard, yeah.
Where's the entrance to the yard?
Oh, just here.
The man seems to be a bit cagey, and soon the plot thickens.
Are you anything to do with MT Skips?
Yeah. Well, I work for them.
You work for them?
Yeah. Why, what's the matter?
My name's John Eccleston. I'm from an environmental enforcement officer.
Yep.
We've had a skip emptied on one of the industrial estates.
Not
That's
by
right.
MT Skips, you ain't.
Yeah.
Not a chance, unless it's been stolen skip.
What's the gaffer's name?
Michael Enright.
Okay.
No
What's your
problem.
name, sir?
Tim
Tim.
Enright.
Are you his
Brother.
You're his brother. Are you co-owner?
No.
He's the owner.
Yep.
So, from not having a clue as to the whereabouts of the company offices, he's now admitting to be the brother of the owner. John has every reason to be increasingly suspicious.
I don't think he's telling the truth now. I don't think he knows. But obviously he's defending his brother. Can't blame him for that. So we'll just have to see what his brother says in the morning.
On John's return the next morning, it begins to look like a case of deliberately mistaken identity. Could Tim Enright be Michael Enright, the owner of the company?
So what's your name, is it?
Michael Enright.
You're Michael Henright,
Yeah.
are you? And you're the owner of
Yeah.
MT Skips.
It takes a second for the man's admission to sink in.
Did you tip that skip up and leave it there?
We tipped that one up, yeah.
Did you tip it?
Yeah.
You tipped it
Yeah.
up. Why did you tip it?
It was only 80 quid the skip, including the VAT, and he wouldn't pay for his own rubbish to be removed off the premises.
Right.
So where does that leave you?
Right.
It's a Gordon Brown job, that is. I could do with one of them government bailouts just to move everybody else's rubbish.
Right.
Now that Michael has come clean as to who he actually is, and he admits that he dumped the rubbish, John can move ahead with the prosecution.
I'm going to tell you, you needn't
Yeah.
say anything, but it may harm your defence
Yeah.
if you do not mention, when questioned, something that you later rely
Yeah.
on in court.
No problem.
But even though Michael is for the high jump, he's only too happy now to try and put things right.
I mean, I'll go out and remove the waste now.
If you go and remove all of that lot, I'll put it down as mitigation in the report, to your credit, that you've recognised what you've done, and then it's all been gone and you've disposed of it, and you've disposed of it lawfully.
So if Michael actually does go and clean up the rubbish, he won't avoid official action, but he may be treated leniently. Either way, John feels he's got a result.
Fair play to him. He's said, I will go back, I will pick the rubbish up, I will ensure that it is disposed of properly, and I'll put it all in the report, and so let the court decide.
It's up to Michael to keep his word. After filming was over, the BMW was crushed. Steve has re-let the house in Leicester. Because skip boss Michael did clear up the contents of the skip, he was only given a caution. Simon married his beautiful bride Ruth in Cuba, and Bill was left just imagining how wonderful it was.